all about you. This is WYOU News.
Across the state affects each and every one of us, either individuals and our families or in the businesses that we work for.
Lawmakers say billions of your hard-earned dollars are being sunk into the legal system, and it's time to put a stop to it. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to WYOU News. I'm Candace Grossclass.
And I'm Eric Shiner. Thanks for joining us for the region's only interactive newscast. Lawmakers in Harrisburg have been making strides in medical malpractice, and now they say they want to expand that reform to lawsuits across the board. Legislators in Harrisburg claim legal fees are skyrocketing, costing taxpayers over $260 billion a year. So we hit the streets to find out if you think our society is too quick to file lawsuits.
Meaningless things, you know, it's just, I mean, every time you move, somebody's getting sued for something.
Well, I wouldn't say that much, but I think a lot of us look at that as a first resort as opposed to a last resort.
I think that before you waste somebody's time and taking them to court to sue them, it should be a legitimate reason.
The rewards typically are disproportionate, I think. And what it does is quite frequently drives the cost up. It requires physicians to do more tests than would probably be necessary.
Tonight we'll be speaking with the legislator who is proposing to put a limit on damages and attorney fees associated with lawsuits in the state, as well as an organization that says if this law is passed, it won't protect the citizens. But first, let's send things over to Candace and Dave.
Into tonight's interactive topic, we're discussing lawsuit abuse reform.
That's right, Candace. Lawmakers are saying thousands of doctors and business owners are fleeing the state because of Pennsylvania's high liability insurance rates. And now legislation is in the works to reform the litigation and tort systems. And they say it's to try and boost the state's economy. Opponents say it will only protect big business from accepting their full legal responsibility. Is our society too quick to slap doctors and companies with lawsuits? Give us a call, 1-800-422-WYOU, or email us by going to pahomepage.com. The discussion begins right after the break.
It's all about you with WYOU Interactive.
We see doctors leaving the state because the high cost of operating here as a doctor. And what they are afraid of is that they're going to be sued, of course, in this lawsuit abuse.
At one time, 60% of the graduates of our medical schools practiced in Pennsylvania. Now we're down to about 5–6%.
When those small businesses are incurring huge expenses to cover liability costs, ultimately that trickles down to consumers.
Welcome back. You just heard some lawmakers talking about the push for lawsuit abuse reform here in Pennsylvania. Now joining us is the president of the Committee for Justice for All, Attorney David Fallk. And by the phone, Representative Garth Everett from Lycoming County. Representative Everett, thanks for being with us as well.
You betcha.
Let's talk about this bundle of bills, a rally today, a lot of people speaking out about it. What exactly does this lawsuit reform measure do?
Well, it's actually a package of 12 bills, not just one. But the overall goal is to reduce the overall costs that are incurred by businessmen, manufacturers, doctors, and all of us in increased insurance premiums and forcing businesses to leave the state and locate other places where it's a more friendly environment.
How does it protect them in a courtroom? How does it protect them?
What it does is it does a number of things. I think the first thing is that it would establish the Fair Share Act, which is joint and several liability, which is a bill that's been passed twice before, and it was vetoed by the governor last time. And we'd just like to put that back on his desk. He had made a promise at one time that he'd sign that bill. And what that does is it only holds those who have been negligent responsible for their share of the negligence rather than having somebody who maybe was 5% negligent have to pay the whole bill.
David, your group is not in favor of this measure. What do you see that's wrong with it, in your opinion?
Well, first of all, it's the wrong discussion. We should be talking about tort reduction, not reducing the rights of the people who are innocently injured. That's the best way to save costs and to keep people safe. So this is just a distraction from the real underlying issue. I'm sure everybody would agree that they'd rather see things not occur than see lawsuits that follow when bad things do happen.
What would be the difference if the bill was focusing on tort reform?
Well, tort reduction is a win-win. Tort reform adds insult to the already injured. It limits their rights. Nobody is limiting how much damage can be done to them. All they're saying is, well, if people are injured, we're going to limit how much they can get back, and sometimes it's inadequate, and winds up that the state winds up picking the tab or someone else.
And reduction is different how?
It means making things safe, calling for responsibility, placing responsibility and accountability on those that are in the best position to make products safe or to make services safe. It calls them into account, not pushing things back on the victim.
What's the feeling, Representative, on this bill in Harrisburg? Is there a lot of support for it?
As I said, it passed both houses before, and it was very popular, and I think that there's a lot of support for it. And again, I want to be clear that it's not about limiting anybody's ability to go to court. It's not about limiting their ability to collect. It's just about having it be fair to those companies who are being sued, so that they don't have to bear an unfair burden. And one of the other things that we're trying to do is make sure that the people who have been harmed get awarded by capping attorneys' fees and making sure that plaintiffs are awarded rather than the trial bar trying to push some of these lawsuits through to get these high awards, which doesn't benefit anybody.
Attorney Fallk, you're shaking your head at this.
Well, it's hard to know where to start. There's so much to be said about this. In fact, this is a backdoor attempt at limiting people's ability to bring lawsuits. When you limit attorney's fees, nobody is limiting the amount of money that insurance company executives make. Nobody's limiting the amount of money that companies can make. But when people get hurt by the actions of these companies, or the insurance companies don't want to pay, then they want to limit the attorneys who are the only ones who will stand up and help people. That's what this is all about. This is an agenda of big business that's being brought all across the country. Pharmaceutical companies, the tobacco companies, the insurance industry, and they go from state to state, and they use the same arguments over and over again. They try to scare people. They try to avoid liability. We could lower insurance rates if we made the insurance companies more transparent in how they charge, if people understood exactly where they're spending their money rather than on reimbursing victims. We know that the numbers are down in terms of what people are collecting in court.
We'll talk about this more when we get back. It is time for us to take a break right now. Much more on lawsuit abuse after this.
It's all about you with WYOU Interactive.
Welcome back. We're continuing our discussion on the push for some lawsuit abuse reform in Pennsylvania. Right now on the phone we have Irma from East Stroudsburg. Thanks for joining us, Irma.
Hello.
Hi, what's your question tonight?
Okay, my question is, on February of this year, I am a 54-year-old woman, and I became sick, and I ended up at the emergency room at a hospital. They kept me overnight. They gave me the wrong steroid or some type of medicine of steroid that made me a diabetic, a type 2 diabetic. And now I have to live with that problem for the rest of my life. And I went to a lawyer, and the lawyer literally told me there was nothing I can do because there is no suing allowed against a doctor in this state. And now my problem is, how am I going to live with that? It's an expensive disease to begin with, and I can't even get compensated for what happened to me.
Attorney, is this true? Could this happen?
Well, first of all, I'd advise you to go and see another attorney that might take a different look at this. But this problem that Irma described is very common, all too common. The largest single area of mistakes in hospitals are pharmaceutical errors. Giving the wrong medication, or giving the wrong dosage, or giving the wrong patient someone else's medication. And as a matter of fact, this has gotten so serious that there is an industry group called the Leapfrog Group and Medicare that are now refusing to pay for errors like this. They're called never events: wrong site surgeries, wrong person surgeries, leaving instruments in people, pharmaceutical errors. And these are the kind of lawsuits that where costs are being added because they're being defended vigorously when they really shouldn't be.